Hi, this is Reinhard from everydaysystems.com. Today I'm going to back off from talking about systems to solve individual problems and start talking about how to balance doing more than one self-improvement system at the same time. How to add new good habits without risking the good habits you already have. Fellow computer types might want to think of this as everyday systems administration. But cute as that is, I think the term habit management is more useful, even for us computer types. Because the key to making it work is to think in terms of habit, instead of some of the other ways we tend to look at this stuff. Habit management is actually kind of a big issue, and I think I'm going to have to break it up into more than one podcast. Today I'm just going to try to sell you on the power of thinking in terms of habit. Think about the difference between home improvement and self-improvement. When you do a home improvement project, it's a one-time thing. It's finite. You put in granite countertops or something similarly atrocious, and it's done. You can move on to the next project. And you tend to do just one project at a time, if you're smart. You fix the roof, then you redo the bathroom, then you redo the kitchen. You don't have to do them all at once. Self-improvement isn't like this. When you hit your goal in terms of diet or fitness or whatever, you can't just back off. You have to maintain this behavior. It's almost like having to reinstall a new granite countertop every day. And most of us have more than one self-improvement issue that we need to work on in parallel. So it's like we have to reinstall the countertops, refix the roof, and retile the bathroom every day. If you express your self-improvement goals in terms of results and rely solely on conscious effort to achieve them, that really is more or less what you're doing. And it's pretty hopeless. But if you look at self-improvement in terms of habit, it gets much easier. Habit is a behavior or set of behaviors that's at least partially automatic and unconscious. You do have to spend some effort to maintain a habit, but because of the big unconscious element, the maintenance is minimal. Habit is so powerful that in modern times people have tended to think of it as irresistible. They stopped calling it habit and started calling it addiction, and tended to think of it as something always bad, something always working against you, right? Alcohol addiction, alcoholism. But habit, though powerful, isn't always irresistible, and it isn't always bad. And habits are also all over the place. Your psyche is teeming with these dangerous but potentially useful forces. They're kind of like wild animals. Very powerful, but kind of dumb. You can't face them head on. They'll tear you to shreds. But with some carrot and stick, you can tame them and get them to work for you. Your conscious attention is a very limited commodity. You can do sophisticated stuff with it, but because it's so limited, you want to reserve it for when it's really necessary. And one of the things it's really necessary for is hitching up habit to pull along desired behaviors, like a horse pulling a cart. You need conscious attention for this hitching up process, but don't have your conscious attention actually pull that cart. That's what dumb, strong, unconscious habit is for. Having your conscious attention pull that cart is a tremendously wasteful misallocation of resources. Alright, so the question is, how do you take a conscious self-improvement goal, like lose 50 pounds by July, and turn it into an unconscious habit? First off, you have to express the goal a little better than this. Lose 50 pounds by July isn't an unusual way to express a self-improvement goal. In fact, it's pretty typical. But people typically fail at these things, and I think the way they frame their goals has a lot to do with it. Think in terms of actions and behaviors rather than results. Frame your problem in terms of what you have to do in order to solve it, instead of what you hope will happen to you as a result of your actions. This is important for a number of reasons. We tend to be really, really bad at making results goals. They're usually pretty arbitrary, based on our vacation plans or something, not on a realistic assessment of what we can actually accomplish. And then just consider the obvious. You can't turn a result like lose 50 pounds into habit, right? It's an end state. What do? It tells you where you want to be, but not how to get there. Habit is a special kind of behavior, right? An unconscious behavior. And a behavior is a way of describing a repeated action. A results goal like this isn't even an action. Of course you can't make it into a habit. So instead of thinking about desired results, think about the actions that you hope will get you these results. Or something like it, because we're so bad at actually figuring out what the results should be. For example, some of my favorites, no snacking on weekdays, or exercise 14 minutes every weekday morning. These are behaviors. Long-term results will come from behaviors. In fact, it's the only thing, short of surgery, I guess, that results will come from. Focusing on behaviors doesn't mean you're forsaking results. It means you're focusing on the part of reality that you can actually change. Results goals are essentially just wishful thinking. And the great thing is, behaviors continue to be useful even after you've hit your desired results. You don't have to radically and riskily change anything once you get there. Switch into maintenance mode or something. In fact, I would toss the results goal out entirely. It's a distraction. It doesn't tell you how to get anywhere. It depresses you if you don't. And it doesn't tell you what to do next when and if you do. Another great thing about thinking in terms of behaviors rather than results is that you can't fail unless you decide to. You have direct control over your actions. You don't have direct control over the number on the scale or the amount of weight you can bench press. You have an indirect impact on that. If you behave well, eventually, if it's a realistic goal, you'll get there. But you can't just decide what it is and have it happen. How many times have you stepped on the scale and thought, that's not fair, I hardly ate anything yesterday? You feel powerless and defeated because even though you did everything right, the way you expressed your goal, pounds on a scale, turned you into a failure. You don't have direct control over the scale, and you don't have direct control over the Nautilus machine. But you do have direct control over your actions. Your actions are your control. If you don't do what you set out to do, there's no surprise. It's a decision. It's your decision. That can sound a little harsh, because there's no one else to blame. There are no excuses. It's your responsibility. But what you get for this is worth it. It's not even a trade-off. It's just a positive way of saying the same thing. The power to fail is the power to succeed. They inherently go together. The alternative is powerlessness. A rock can't fail. A rock can't do anything. Okay, so I hope I've sold you on expressing your goals as behaviors rather than results, or at least turned you on to maybe the possibility of it. The next step is to choose the right behaviors. Some behaviors are much more habit-friendly, much more easily automated into unconscious habit than others. But I'm going to have to wait till next week to get into that. Bye for now. Thanks for listening.